This is Eric from Pack Hacker, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Tropicfeel Nest backpack, which I've been testing for the past 2 weeks. Let's dive in. So starting off with the materials on this bag, we've got 100% recycled nylon and 100% recycled polyester throughout this pack. So it's nice to see some sustainability on this thing, especially for how durable it is. The material's held up really well, and even in some light rain, I didn't have any issue with water making its way through the material. So good on that front. And also, if you want to know more about the materials that Tropicfeel chose, you can look on their site and they have tons of information. They're very transparent, which is great to see. Sometimes you don't get all of that information. So all the zippers on this thing are from YKK. The exterior zippers are YKK number 8, and the interior zippers, which we'll obviously get to in a little bit, are YKK number 5. The exterior zippers have these paracord-like zipper pulls, and then they have the heat shrunk plastic on the end. I found these very easy to use, and they also kind of get out of the way when you don't want them to be in the way. Like you can kind of, put them in the little fabric welt here, and they're just kind of out of the way, but they're also easy to find and easy to use when it's time to use them. The hardware on this thing, all the plastic hardware, I should say, is from Duraflex. Snaps easy, no complaints at all with the hard plastic hardware. Just works as it should, and we'll get more into the hardware on the shoulder straps in just a little bit. And then we've also got some metal hardware on this thing. So as you can see up here, these hooks are metal, and they attach to this kind of tarpaulin-like material here. And no issues with those, and they haven't gotten nicked up or anything either. Sometimes when you see aluminum and materials like that, they get nicked up easily. I'm not certain that these are aluminum, but they look nice and they haven't got nicked up, and they're very sturdy. No issues with that. There are two more that attach right here on the bottom, which I will go into detail on later. But this, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but there is a bit of fraying on that little piece where the metal attaches. And I don't know if it's because I put too much weight on there, but there is a bit of fraying there. It's cosmetic. It has not really affected how I use the bag, but it is something that I noticed and I thought was worth talking about. So to kind of, I guess, don't want to say the elephant in the room, but right now the front of this is very popped out, and that's because of one of the external components that this bag has that I want to go over now so I can take it out. So this is a spider net system. It hooks here. We went over those clips just a minute ago. Undo those. And then it pops back like that. And right now I have their 10-liter smart packing cube in there. And I'll slide that out because we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But just to show you this spider net system a little more, it's this stretchy material, but it's still really durable. So it's got, it's been taking the bumps and knocks of commuting every day and then 2 small trips as well, and no issues with it loosening out or anything like that, and it still attaches very easily to these little hooks on the end. So that is the spider net system. And something that they say, or I guess I don't say that it can be used for that, but something in their promo video that you can say, they say you can use it for, stumbling over my words there, is for a bike helmet. And I just wanted to show you that my bike helmet does not fit in there. As much as I've tried, it just doesn't fit. And I don't have a smaller bike helmet to try, but that's just something if you saw the preview and were like, oh, my bike helmet is going to fit in there. Depending on the size of your helmet, there's a good chance it won't. So I just really wanted to show that because I was excited when I first got this pack and was looking into it beforehand. So I will close that real quick. And just on the front of that, we have this little pocket here. It's a nice pocket for just quick use items that you aren't necessarily worried about them getting wet or getting someone grabbing them. I often threw a Bluetooth speaker in here. It was a good place for if you're riding your bike and just wanted some music, or even if you're on a hike and you wanted just a little bit of music or podcast or something like that, you could throw a speaker in there. But enough about the front right now. We're going to move on to the back here. So this back panel is really well thought out, I think, and there's a lot of things going on. So we'll start with the actual back panel itself. bring it up a little bit closer so you can see that. It's got quite a bit of padding, and then you can see the holes there because the exterior material is just kind of mesh, so you can see through it. So those holes allow a lot of air through to move through the back panel while you're wearing it, especially if you're doing something more active or it's warmer outside. And something I do like a lot is that, so there's a luggage pass-through right here, which is great to have if you're going to the airport and you have like a check bag or a rolling carry-on or something like that. You can just slide this on so you don't have to wear it. But it's almost inset underneath here. So when you're wearing the bag, it's flat, it's like flat, it's flush. Maybe we can show you better from the side. It doesn't like pop out at all. And that's something I've had an issue with in the past, especially for a pack that you're kind of supposed to be able to wear, like be active and wear, is that the luggage pass-through will kind of have a little bit of a lip, and this doesn't at all. There is a hidden pocket here that you can put a passport in, whatever you need to put in. It goes almost all the way to the end here. I can't even really get my hand in there, but it goes all the way down here, so you could put travel documents, passport, whatever you need to put in there, and then it's kind of protected by your back. If you put a bunch of stuff inside that hidden pocket, you do feel it a little bit, but even with just a passport or a travel document, just like a couple travel documents, you're not going to feel it. So I'm overall very happy with how this back panel works, and especially too, we've had some really hot weather here lately. I think it was 96 with like a 104-degree heat index, and I wrote it down just for people who are on metric. That's 35.56 degrees Celsius or 40 degrees Celsius with the heat index. So it was really hot here, lots of humidity as well, and this back panel kept me relatively cool. Obviously with that heat, you're going to sweat, but because of the mesh and the padding with the holes in it, you really do get a fair amount of airflow, and it never felt like I was being suffocated. There was some sweat there, but I never felt like, you know, claustrophobic with the bag on my back, which is something I have felt in the past when it's that warm with a bigger backpack like this. But moving on to the shoulder straps here. So these have similar padding, I'd say, to the back panel, but they don't have that aeration. They don't have the holes or anything like that. So I did find that these got a little bit warmer than the back panel did. Like even if you compared the sweat, like after I went on a bike ride with this thing, my back would be pretty sweaty, but then right here where these rest, it would be really, really warm. And that's, I think I can peg that up to not having that aeration. And not to say that these were overly warm. I'd say they're about the same as other shoulder straps that I've worn in the past, but just kind of spoiled by this back panel, so it feels a little bit lackluster that these don't have that. But not to be discouraged, they're still very comfortable and they're not terribly hot. And we have a sternum strap here, which we talked about the buckle working well earlier, and it is on a rail, so you can make those micro adjustments as you see fit. And I didn't notice it like moving when it shouldn't, which is good because sometimes when they're on a rail, if it's a little bit loose, it kind of moves around a little bit, but as you can see, it's not really moving as I put pressure on it. Also on the shoulder straps here, we have these two stretchy loops. This is kind of, I don't want to call it their trademark material, but you're going to see this stretchy material quite a bit on this pack and also in the packing cube. So get used to that. But that's nice to attach things to, or even just like you could even stick a protein bar or something in there. And then you got a little D-ring here, which is obviously nice to have if you want to put a carabiner or something on there. Then over here we have this little loop which is that same tarpaulin-like material that you could put a pen in or sunglasses. Just put one of the arms of sunglasses through there. Nice to have too, because then you can have quick access to your sunglasses. So one more thing on the exterior before we start going over some of the interior stuff is the colorways. So this is the desert green colorway, and there's also an all black, a blueberry navy, and an amphora brown colorway. So the amphora brown and the desert green colorway are kind of lighter colors, a little bit more muted, and they have the contrast of the black zippers and like the under the fabric welt here. So basically a light color with a dark accent. And then the all black and the blueberry navy are more of like just all dark. So it's kind of sleek and more minimalistic, I suppose. Whereas this is kind of like a little bit more color, but still by no means like in your face. But something I did note with the lighter colorway here, I'm not sure how well you're gonna be able to see it on here, is that sweat really shows on this back panel. I think you can kind of see a line there where, because obviously I rode with this in this morning on my bike, and there you can see the sweat, and this isn't wet right now, so I think that this is actually stained a little bit from, you know, being sweat on, because it has been so hot here lately. We've had lots of 90 degree plus days, So I think that this has kind of been discolored with sweat. And it is the back panel, so it's not a huge deal. But if you are wearing this somewhere and then taking it off, you can kind of see the sweat, and that might bother you or might not. I'm not sure. I just thought it was worth mentioning. So we're going to flip back to the front here. So we already went over this spider net system here, but there is another thing on the exterior of this pack that I think is a cool include and something that Tropicfeel has done before. There's a zipper on the bottom here. I just opened it. And it has a little pocket here, which is called a Kangaroo pocket. So it adds to the bottom of the pack, and it has these same clips here. So you can attach those clips. And then you've got this little bit of extra space here. It's 4 liters. So it is a pretty ample sized increase from this pack is 16 liters. Without any additions, and then if you add this on, it is another 4 liters. And this comes standard with the pack. You don't have to add it on like the packing cube. So this goes from 16 liters to 20 liters with the addition of the Kangaroo pocket. And this is a nice spot for a small pair of shoes, or if you have a big water bottle that won't fit in the water bottle pocket, you could also throw it here. That's what I used it most often for. My water bottle's not in there right now, as you can see, because it's somewhere else in the pack, which we will get to shortly. But it is a good place for just stuff that you don't necessarily care if it gets wet or kind of battered around, because there isn't any padding or anything on there. But it is nice to have that extra space. And that material I mentioned earlier on the shoulder straps, we see that again here. Very stretchy and very malleable with your hands, and you can attach things to the bottom of this. You can put a tripod under here. If you had trekking poles or a yoga mat, you could also stick it under here. Something I will say is if you don't have very much stuff inside this pocket, or you don't have anything in this pocket, it's kind of awkward because the fabric pushes in, as you can see there, and you kind of need to have a bigger item if you have nothing in here, because you just get more space from this. But if you had a water bottle in there, or your shoes were taking up the whole space, it kind of acts as structure to kind of push against to stick something underneath there. So I'm just going to stow this away real quick and move on to the water bottle pocket. So the water bottle pocket is very well integrated. It's almost not noticeable if you weren't looking for it. It's got an elastic side here, which is normally good because it normally means you can fit bigger bottles in there. But the only real size bottle I was able to fit in there is like a standard 12 ounce to 16 ounce water bottle. So you weren't able to fit a ton of stuff in there. But what I actually use this for most often, let me grab it real quick, is my phone. It's a perfect spot for a phone. This is an iPhone 13, a standard iPhone 13 in a case, and it fits in there perfectly. Larger iPhones will fit in there as well, or if you have a larger Galaxy or Note or something, it should fit in there too, because it does have this elastic so it can stretch out. So you can fit your phone in there, and it is nice because you can kind of just reach and grab it. If you're somewhere where you are worried about someone snagging your phone, obviously it doesn't have a secure top. But just for commuting, or if you ride your bike or something like that, it's nice to be able to access it fairly quickly without taking the whole bag off. You can just go one shoulder. So moving on from that, you can see up here, we have those same metal clips again on this side strap. So this is good if you wanted to throw a tripod on the side. You could stick a foot or a couple of the feet into the water bottle pocket and run it up here, and it's easily adjustable. I say that as I am struggling with it, but no issues with the adjustments on it for the most part. Sorry about that. The strap keeper is what's stopping me from adjusting it. So you can kind of adjust it. I wish that this was a stretchier material like we've talked about a few times. Like this is that same elastic and the stretchy material from the Kangaroo pocket on the bottom, because then you can kind of just like strap stuff in there, but that might be a little bit less durable than this thicker strap. You can see that it does have a little more gusto to it. So it does hold things in fairly tight once you lock them in. Something to note about if you did want to place a tripod or something larger here is, again, you can't fit a huge water bottle here, so you can't fit something huge in here. So one of my bigger tripods, I could only put 2 feet in here, and the other foot was just kind of hanging out. Wasn't a big deal, but it did look a little bit silly. Moving to the other side here, we've got 2 of those straps. So if you had like trekking poles or something that felt a little bit longer, it's nice to put them on this side because they're locked down in 2 places, so they're not dangling. So you could lock the foot, like if you had the foot of the trekking pole up here, just lock it in, and then underneath this one as well, so it's not dangling down here, but then the foot keeps it locked in place, if that makes sense. But happy with these straps. They work well. They work as they should. So moving to the inside of this pack, we'll start with the top compartment here. This is a good place for, there's my sunglasses in there already. Good place for sunglasses because it does have this soft material, so it's not going to scratch up your phone or your glasses when you pull them out quickly. It does share space with the main compartment, so I have this main compartment pretty packed out right now, but there's still quite a bit of room in there right now, even though the main compartment's full. But that is something to note. If you stuff the main compartment completely full, you're not going to have as much room. But we will open the main compartment now, not just talk about it. So this is a clamshell opening, as you can see, so it opens all the way like this. So you can really have good access to everything that's in the pack, especially if you're, a meticulous organizer and like to have everything in its right place. So starting with these organizers here, we have these pockets here are crafted from mesh. So they have a little bit of stretch to them. I'm not sure how well I'll be able to illustrate that, but they do have a little bit of give, a lot more give than this liner down here. So these are a good spot for things you want to be able to see, to grab. Like if you have a bunch of little dongles, if you put them in this pocket down here, you're not going to be able to see as well. And if you put them up here, you can, because you can see through there a little bit, as you probably saw when I stuck my hand through there. You can see through it, and it does have a little bit of stretch, so even like a battery bank, or if you have a larger power adapter or something like that, you can stick it in here and it'll stretch a little bit, and you can also see it. So when you get to the coffee shop or to your hotel Airbnb, you know where it is and you can grab it easily. These small pockets are a better place for smaller stuff because obviously they're smaller and there's less room for them to get lost. And then this is a little attachment that helps with the camera cube that you can purchase additionally, but I'm going to talk about all the additions at the end just to kind of go over them. So this pocket down here, as I said, is opaque, so you can't see through it. It's a nice place for a passport or something like that because you don't necessarily want other people to see it's in there, and it does have a little bit of extra protection with that liner compared to the mesh that has the holes in it. So working our way up into this main compartment now, as you can see, I've got 2 medium packing cubes in here and then a large packing cube on the bottom. So there is a fair amount of space in here. 16 liters is not a huge bag for a travel backpack, but I was able to fit quite a bit in here without using the additional things that you can use or can purchase to use in this pack. And right now I have this padded, I don't know exactly what to call it. It's like it folds up out, and so you can store stuff that you maybe want a little bit of extra protection for underneath there, or maybe just something you want to know where it is and also have access from the outside, because as you can see here, you probably saw it when we were going over the side straps, there is a little bit of access right here, so you can access what's in that side pocket, or the padded area, I should say. And if you have that folded down, you can just access whatever's in the bottom of the pack. So we'll go in there again just to go over it more. Actually, I should open this. So it's got a little, I don't want to say waterproof, water resistant material inside there. So right now I have my water bottle in there to show that it fits. This is a 48 ounce Nalgene, a really big water bottle, and it fits inside there without an issue. But this is the water resistant stuff sack that goes inside there. It's got Velcro on this side because as you can see, this material is, it's kind of got, I don't want to say loose fibers, but it accepts Velcro. So if you just stick that on there, it sticks. So that way when you stick it in there, it kind of stays in place and doesn't bunch up. And it's got a drawstring closure here at the top with a little plastic adjuster. And so it's not waterproof. So if you have something in there that has water in it and it leaks, there is a chance it could get out of this here because it obviously isn't perfect. But I didn't have any issues with that. My water bottle doesn't leak, but I didn't have any issues with things leaking out. You could put a small pair of shoes there, like if you had a pair of sandals or something like that, or a very packable pair of shoes, they might fit inside there. But I wear a size 12, so none of my shoes actually fit inside there. But my water bottle did, and I also, on days where I didn't have a ton of lunch to bring, I would put my lunch in there so that way if it leaked, it wouldn't get all over my stuff that is up here. But when you're not using this insert, you can kind of fold it up. Oh, sorry, make sure you can see that. You can kind of fold it up like this, and the door with which opens to access it has a little mesh pocket. So you can shove it in there, and it's out of the way. So now that's out of the way, and this can fold inward like that. and you have a bunch more space to work with now. So if I put those same packing cubes in there, it's taking up, I would say, 60% of the space, maybe a little bit more. But you have at least room, I would say, for 2 more of these to fit here. So really lots of space to work with if you're not using that. And that's something that you could just get all your gear to where you're going and then drop your clothes off at your hotel Airbnb and then use this pack as your day pack. That's one of those features that I think works really well in that way. I'm gonna pull these out now and go over a few of the add-ons that you can get with this pack. We only have one of the add-ons on hand, and that is the Smart Packing Cube. So we have a full review of this, so you can check that out if you wish. But this is, they advertise this backpack as going from 16 liters to 30 liters. Just zip this up so we can kind of get an overview. So right now this pack is 16 liters. It'll hold 16 liters of gear, however you want to measure that. If you add the Kangaroo pocket here on the bottom, that's an additional 4 liters. So that gets you to 20 liters. So right now we're sitting at 20. And if you want any more literage than that, you need to purchase one of their packing cubes to get to the advertised 30 liters that this pack can get to. So this is the Smart Packing Cube. It is 10 liters according to their site. So this is what gets you to the 30 liters. And it won't work for everyone because like if you have a 30-liter backpack, it doesn't necessarily mean you want 10 liters of it to be clothes. But for people that do put an emphasis on clothes or they want really organized clothes, this will work well for you. And this is pretty well integrated with this pack. As you saw when we first started, I had this in the spider net webbing. I keep wanting to call it spider net webbing. It's the spider web system. So this just slides under the spider system here. Just kind of slides in there. And then it does have these 2 loops here. So you can feed the metal through there to kind of hold it down even more before attaching it. But I will say that does make it a little bit more difficult to secure it and kind of gives it a little bit of a funky look there. So I oftentimes didn't do that because I felt that it held it down well enough without it, and it was easier to attach and unattach without it. That. So there it is, kind of. I'm going to add the water bottle down here so you can kind of get a good idea of what it looks like more packed out. There we go. So there it is, kind of at the full literage that we're capable of with what we have. So we have the 16-liter backpack, the 4 liters in the additional Kangaroo pocket, and then the 10-liter packing cube, which I have full of I want to say I've got 2 pairs of pants, 3 shirts, socks, underwear, and a towel in there right now. But as I said, if you want to see that full review, we've got it. I reviewed it, and I'm actually going to shoot it right after this. So we'll have a full review of that as well. But I think that the backpack works very well on its own. But if you want to use it as a real travel backpack, you need to either purchase their editions or have some editions of your own. I'm certain that there are packing cubes that maybe one that you own that would also fit inside of here. They also sell a 5-liter packing cube that goes with this pack, and that one doesn't necessarily need to use the spider webbing. It can fit inside this one. It's a 5-liter packing cube, and it doesn't have all the features, at least from looking online, that the 10-liter Smart Packing Cube does, and it just fits right inside here, and it's about half the size. It goes to about right here. So that would get you to 25 liters. But as you can see, this is, I would guess, about a 3 or a 4-liter packing cube. You can just shove it in there. So if you have a packing cube at home and you're like, that backpack looks cool, but I don't want to use their packing cube, there are ways to make this system work with other packing cubes. And you've got this bigger packing cube here. Oh, down goes a packing cube. This one will fit inside of here, no problem as well. So I wouldn't say that this packing cube could fit as much gear as their 10-liter packing cube would, but there are lots of options for people who want to customize, not necessarily with their additional items and want to use their own. You can do that. There are 2 other additional items before we wrap up here that I think are worth mentioning. Put those on real quick. So moving to the inside here, We'll pull that up. So there is an organizer that goes inside of here, and it kind of just makes lots of little compartments for you to put gear inside of. And I don't know that that would necessarily help with clothes and stuff, but if you wanted to get it for when you get to your destination, and this converts from your travel pack into your day pack, and you have lots of little things you want to bring, it's kind of like a checkerboard almost, and you can put different things inside the different pockets. And there are these little loops here on the side. You can see the material there, that they have Velcro on the sides to attach to that, so that way it's not bustling around and jostling around. So that's good for people who really like having internal organization. There's also a camera cube that slots right in here as well and uses these same pieces to attach with Velcro. And then what it also does is, I mentioned this piece earlier, is it has on the lid or the top of it, it has a little piece, or I don't know exactly what, like a little loop basically. And you can attach this button through there. So that way, when you open this, it also opens the camera cube. So this kind of converts into a camera backpack. So if you bring your camera stuff, you can put the camera cube in here, and it turns itself into a camera backpack for a hike or walking through the city or whatever you're doing with it. So there's a external laptop compartment on this side here. It's got an AquaGuard zipper, which is a nice inclusion, and it fits up to a 15-inch laptop. It does kind of get stuck on the edges there sometimes, but no issues other than that, and very comfortable with the padding on the back panel. So I feel like I've been going a mile a minute for 25 minutes now, but there really is a ton going on with this backpack. And you can use it for a ton of different things. You know, I used it for commuting and then just general going to and from work, and also going to friends' houses and stuff like that. But I also used it on road trip. I think this is a great road trip pack when you don't necessarily need to bring a million things and you're not just stuck with what you can fit in this pack. It's great for putting, you know, your daily use items, or if you have the packing cube, you can put the packing cube in there. It just is a backpack that can be used for a variety of things, but if you need to bring a ton of stuff and you don't necessarily want to be told how to put it in your bag, this might not be the system for you. But overall, I'm very happy with it, and I'm excited to hear how other people have used this bag, because I see it as being a bag that everyone's going to use differently. But there you have it, the Tropicfeel Nest Backpack. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.